children, and welcome to my chamber. My name is Rotherick Blood, and I'm your host of Tales from the Dark Chamber. This week, we have a great show for you. Tales to make your skin crawl. Each week, my chambermate and I read a scary tale that we found on the internet, or perhaps left under some corpse. Either way, we think you're going to like it, and we're just dying for you to hear it. So sit right back, light a candle, and let's have a good evening.
Wow. Where am I? Everything looks...
Why, hello.
Hey, Rotherick, what's going on here? Everything looks...
What do you mean? Everything looks normal to me.
Well, the chamber. The furniture is all blue. And the walls are orange. And the floor is yellow. And where are my feet? I can't see my legs.
You're standing on them, Matt. Come here.
I can't move. Rotherick, you look different. You're red and purple and
there's nothing to worry about, Woody. Everything is fine. It's all in your imagination.
But there's no ceiling. And now the furniture's all moved. The floor is red, and you're...
Woody.
Woody! Wake up, you ninny!
What the...
Woody, you were having a dream. Must have been a doozy. You were saying that you had no hands, and your furniture was floating and...
Yeah, wow. Was that a crazy dream? It was one of those, where you have no control. You know what I mean?
Well, I can't say that I've ever had one like that. Usually in my dreams, my acquaintances are under my control.
Yeah, well, these are my worst ones. Which reminds me of tonight's story. It's a collection of 3 creepy tales about losing control and not being able to recover. Tonight, we present The Backwards Town, It Has My Eyes, and The Timekeeper by Creepypasta author Tiny. Enjoy. Tonight, we bring you 3 wonderful short stories by Creepypasta author Tiny. The Backwards Town. I have no idea how I got here. This place looks like my hometown, but something seems off. The weather is colder, the people act different, but it all looks the same, almost like an exact replica. Everything is in the same place, every street sign bears the same name. I make my way through the town, watching as people do things they wouldn't normally do. People who were usually nice are now hateful, deceitful shells of themselves that I once knew. There is nothing correct about this place, though it looks the same as it always has. The further I wander through this seemingly alternate reality, the more I recognize things are different. Small things at first, like buildings and houses with different paint. Then the differences grow larger and stranger. People whom I could have sworn died are now up and walking around like nothing happened. Shops I thought were shut down are now open and ready for business. I finally make my way to my own street and proceed down it. The changes are somehow more drastic here. Some of the neighboring houses are completely gone, but my house is still there. Sure, I don't want to stick around, but I do want to know what the alternate me is like. I'm fairly nice and likable in my own world, so he can't be that bad. I peer through the window only to find the house deserted. Might as well make my way in. It's technically my house anyway, I thought. As I proceeded to make my way through the living room, I noticed that the usual pleasant vibe my house put off was replaced with a much colder, sinister one. I looked in all the rooms, finding nothing of particular interest, except for the pots on the stove being left on, cooking some sort of stew. It's when I decided to look in the basement that things quickly took a turn. The first thing I noticed was a very rancid odor filling the air. It was dark, so I turned on the light, a decision I'd soon regret. What I saw upon flipping the switch cannot be described. Bodies of animals and people chained to the water pipes above, each one skinned and gutted like wild animals. There were parts of all of them strewn around the room, and a large tub contained even more. It's when it hit me. That was no normal stew. The me in this universe was cooking humans. No sooner had I realized this than did I hear somebody walk through the front door. It has my eyes. I can't move. I feel nothing. I can't speak, but I can see. The sight that I'm seeing is not my own. My eyes are gone. They were taken. I'm seeing what it sees. I'm forced to bear witness to its heinous acts, forced to see what no one would ever wish to see. It likes to eat people. It likes to maul them. It eats part of their brain, dragging their deaths out as long as possible. All the while, I'm forced to watch. I can't escape this hellish circle of vivid, nightmarish imagery that it has bestowed upon me. I can do nothing more but watch as it plunders about, rendering those who stand in its way to nothing more than piles of blood and flesh. The ones that fight back, those are the ones it seems to like the most. It gets stronger with every blow they dish. I've never seen anyone make it out of its clutches alive. It uses its victims' bodies to taunt me, knowing I see what it sees and I have no control. It killed my entire family, tore each of them apart beyond recognition, all of which I had a front row seat to. I couldn't save them. They all died and I'm stuck here. Sometimes it allows me to catch a glimpse of my own house from its perspective, all the while people walk past, not even acknowledging its existence. It wants me. Every day it slightly gets closer than the last. It somehow knows where I am. I fear that one day the person I see it savagely mauling will be me. It has finally done it, gained entrance to my house. I can see it as it lurks around the living room. It doesn't head up to my room immediately. Instead, it decides to go downstairs. I finally get a glimpse of what this thing is as it reaches the bottom. There's another hidden in the basement, far larger than the one my vision shows through. It's a spider-like creature that sits on 4 sprawled, spiked legs. It is hunched over with its spine protruding from its back. In its eye sockets hang the eyes of presumably another person, one being tortured much the same as me. The creatures then begin performing what looks like some sort of ritual. This goes on for some time until it's abruptly cut short when the one I'm seeing through reaches into the other one's chest with utmost force. Upon doing so, it begins breaking bones away and tearing out organs until the strangest thing happens. A human body spills out, still moving and with eyes completely missing. They begin to devour him. I can't, but it looks like he's screaming. He's in agony from them ripping away chunks of flesh. They don't think twice about finishing him, though. They leave him here to suffer. That's when it happens. The larger one turns to gaze at me. It reaches inside of the other monster's chest and begins ripping away. I then begin to feel like I'm being pulled apart. Before I know it, I feel the familiar coldness of my basement floor on my face. Through its vision, I see myself lying there on the floor. I feel the sharp pain of needle-like teeth as they sink deep into my legs, making their way up. I try to break free, but I can't. They are simply too strong. Soon they begin chomping on my back as I grow colder and colder from loss of blood. I have no fight left, and no choice but to die. At least they let me experience one last sliver of sensation before I died, even if it was pain. Now, I'm trapped in the purgatory they've created for me, and they still taunt me with my own body. The Timekeeper. Have you ever given the aspect of time constantly moving forward any thought? Or how about the aspect of time never moving again? That is the predicament I seem to have found myself stuck in. The worst part is, that isn't even my biggest problem. You see, I seem to be alone in this. I can't even make a sound, and I'm being forced to live outside my own head. I tried to think of a solution as to why time is no longer moving, but I can't. It feels like I will remain trapped forever in this perpetual state. I have begun to notice there seems to be movement of some kind, but I can't quite pinpoint its source. I'm completely hopeless even if I could. I'm beginning to hear the faint chimes of a grandfather clock, distant but still audible. Ever so slightly they ring, closer and closer they get. My heart would be racing if I and it weren't both trapped in time. Soon the chimes are also accompanied by footsteps, breaking the silence even more. All the while, time stands still for all but whoever is coming my way. When I get my first glance of what the entity is, my blood runs cold, even though it's not running at all. It's tall, gangly, and gruesome. The best way I can describe it is a decayed corpse with almost nothing but bone left. In place of its head is a scratched-up old grandfather clock with a faceplate covered in mold. It begins to walk towards me. As it gets closer, the grandfather clock begins ticking faster and faster, seemingly irregular as well. I begin to feel a surge as what feels like years flow by like seconds. This god-awful thing has the power to manipulate time, and I can do nothing but sit here and wither away without it even touching me. As it draws closer, it reaches its long, sharp, claw-laden hand out to grab me. No matter how hard I try, I still can't move. It's got me in a death grip. Time begins moving even more as its claws cut deep and slowly, inch by inch, my body begins to decay. Then the clock rings out once more, and there is nothing but darkness. A voice rings out in the darkness. You now belong to him. He is the timekeeper. Your existence is no more. Well, folks, that's our story tonight. Rotherick and I hope you enjoyed it. We sure had a great time bringing it to you, and we really appreciate you listening. Tune in next week when we bring you another chilling Tales from the Dark Chamber. And just a note, if you're an aspiring author and want your story read here on Tales from the Dark Chamber, send us a note at talesfromthedarkchamber@gmail.com. If it creeps old Rotherick out enough, we'll air it. And subscribe to our channel here for notification of our next new episode, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember, hit that like button and help us grow the channel. Also, make sure you tell your friends about us. Spread the word. If you want your story recorded for your own use, or just want to have it, check out my website at woodygvoiceover.net. You can order there. And again, thank you for listening tonight.